Hi guys.
Hey,
Hi, Vince.
hey, Chad.
Hmm.
How can I get this? Ah, there we go.
So, how have you been, Declan? You're still in England?
I'm in. I'm not sure where I am anymore. I'm in Belgium.
Oh, okay. Flitting all
But
around.
yeah, no, it's really lovely. I've got this. Got my holidays. But I left. Or yeah, I've got a bit of a story. But I've been seeing a friend in the Netherlands, and now I'm cat sitting. I found a website where you basically go and like Airbnb, but it's free. You go and live in someone's place, but you look after their cat or dog. So I'm here for a few days in Belgium looking after a cat.
Oh, good one. Yeah, yeah.
It's nice, yeah.
We'll
And
be,
I'm
we'll be
doing.
looking for someone to do that in November to look after our dog.
There
Yeah.
you go. It's a great idea, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, I'm doing an Angelo online retreat as well, so I've just got an hour until we start back up again. Um, but I must tell you, I don't know why I'm hesitating. It's very strange. Um, I did a I did an ayahuasca retreat last weekend, and Marius, and yeah, I did an ayahuasca. I can't. I'm actually my time's getting all mixed up. I've had such a oof weird week. Yeah, that was this time last week. Yeah, um, Friday and Saturday, finished on Sunday, and that was. I think it was life changing. I don't know. It's very. It's hard to put words to some stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Especially that
think I
stuff.
saw
Yeah.
through the self and all of that. I actually died. I thought that I died. It was quite a quite a trip, as they say. Yeah, I'm feeling tearful now just thinking about it. But I think, whew, yeah, it was really. It's probably the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. Like true. Is the word existential terror? It's like
Yeah, that fits. Yeah.
seeing my own death and dying alone or dying with strangers. Um, which, yeah, I think if it wasn't a deep fear, it is now, or if I didn't realize that that was a deep fear. And I guess that's my ultimate fear, isn't it? Is like, I wrote something on Facebook. It really stayed with me last weekend. It was written down. It just said, "Everything I love, I will lose." So well, that's kind of it, isn't it? It's like this or it or whatever will come to an end one way or another, or something will end,
Yeah.
and kind of just accepting that. I say just accepting that. I think that's a big step. Is quite something. Um, Listen, somebody just stop me if I'm going on, because I feel like if I start talking, I'm just going to go blah, 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 because I haven't really processed any of this with anyone.
That's fine. Take all the time you need.
So honestly, thanks, Vince.
Unless somebody else wants to stop you, I won't
Yeah,
though.
please
Mm.
do. Um, Oh.
I would like you to focus a little bit on the return journey.
Like this week, kind of.
Back to the old way, or how the old way intrudes again. Yeah.
That's yeah. Oh God, I think that's what I'm trying to process, Vince, and I'm if I tell you quickly as just part of the trip, if you like, the ayahuasca thing, like as I died and I kind of gave into it, and then I had this realization that I was, it's not real. My death isn't real. But up until that point, I really thought, I'm dying, and I really kicked up a fuss. I didn't go quietly. For a British person, I was like, the next day I was like, I'm really sorry. Anyway, but as I just remember this realization of that, I'm just words. It's just a ticker tape of words. I think I just saw thoughts as words. And once the words go, then I'm gone. And that's okay. That's fine. And the guy who was one of the crew, because they had to kind of take me outside away from the other participants, I've been making so much noise. I was just falling back in his arms. Beautiful, beautiful man. And he said to me, do you know your name? And in my delusion, I thought, he's one of those doctors that ask people their name just to check if they're losing consciousness or dying. It was also flipping in and out of what reality I'd constructed. But I just realized that I couldn't remember my name. And it was like, wow, I really don't exist. I've gone. I've gone from wherever. I kind of had this vague inkling of an email address, but even that wouldn't come. And I tried to remember it. I really tried. And I didn't know where I was in space and time. And I just thought, oh, wow. And now remembering that feels so bizarre. But it was real. And then it was all the thing about what is real. And I realized that I couldn't distinguish between what was real and what wasn't real. And there was no real. Anyway, having said all that, I left there really worried and really anxious. And my worry was that I'd really damaged my mental health. And my anxiety was just this anxiety around people and the world. And there was just all this fear that I could see really clearly. And I thought, oh God, all my life I've just been afraid. I've been afraid of everything. But I've been so afraid that I've had to mask it with this veneer of Declan and whatever else. I'm pretending that everything's okay when it's not. And I'm this scared little boy. Wow. And that's felt, I don't know, I've just felt that, Vince. I can't describe it any other way. I've just felt it, really felt it this week. And it's kind of beautiful as well, because I can feel a shift, but I'm trying not to focus on an outcome.
Yep. So trying not to steer it is a big one.
Trying not to. But just it's from a really unpleasant start to the week, I just thought, oh, fuck me. Well, you might have seen through the self momentarily, but Jesus, that was horrible. And I don't know, like, didn't work or I haven't even got words. But from that, gradually the week's just gotten better and better and more.
So if you were to take one thing away from it, I want you to say, and this is me, of course, I want you to say that you saw how much reality was dependent on words. Did I hear you right when I heard you say something along those lines?
Yeah, you did, Vince. You did. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's change this whole concept of seeing through self into something that's a little bit more graspable, if that's a word, something you can get a hold of a little bit better, and that is that the self is a construct. And I'm imagining that you saw that. Now, maybe what you might have had or might not have grasped was what that means. See that when you said you saw your own death, what if that was the death of the delusion that a self exists? And what you're left with looks pretty good to me, pretty solid, substantial, alive. But there's no self there, is there? Except in words.
I think that's it exactly, Vince, is that I've been struggling with. I realized that, okay, so the self, that whatever the self, the construct can die.
Yes.
But I didn't want it to. I think that's the thing that's confusing. I think, oh, but I don't want it to die. Like I was really angry that it was dying. I was shouting and, and raging against the dying of the light. And I just thought, oh, but why don't I want it to die? Because all it does
because you thought that's all it was.
Oh, I thought that's all it was. Yeah. But it is. Yeah. Yeah. And then just kind of relaxing back into kind of just let it go, just kind of die. I remember the crew guy actually said to me, like, can you stay there? Can you stay with the death of this? Because he said to me, you're having, your ego's dying. That's what's happening. He actually said to me after a while, and I kind of went, oh, right. But he said to me, can you stay there? And I tried, but I kept kind of flipping back to reality, and then what I thought was reality, and then flipping back in, and I think that's it, Vince. I think I'm really confused, disappointed, embarrassed as to why I can't let this self just go. I thought this morning it's like Jiminy Cricket in Pinocchio, or believing in fairies in whatever that pantomime is, Tinkerbell. It's like I believe that this Declan who comments is really important and is there, and if he's not there, ooh. But I want to let him go.
I think you said it beautifully in your quote on Facebook, Declan. Yeah. That's why it's difficult to let the self go.
Yeah. I think it's maybe acknowledging that, Marius, that if I talk about it in the third person, it's like I love him. And I kind of didn't realize that until he died, you know, and yeah, and I feel like he's kept me safe, although that's an illusion, I know, but he's tried to, and I think it's the terror of being alone without him. Yeah, all of those things. Yeah,
Yeah, and in a way, there was a deeper truth there also, where you said you will lose everything you love, or something like that.
mm,
And
mm,
you know, there is something deep there that you know, everything you love might also represent everything that mirrors the existence of that self that you're holding on to back to you.
mm,
Like if those things didn't exist anymore, that connection, that love,
yeah,
where we're like, that is your whole existence, you believe.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had a little inkling of that sometime in the week, Marius, is that are these friends or people I love, or are they collections that I've made to feel safe? You know, is it that, like, the construct again, like that's a construct, and that's a construct. I just constructed this emotional and physical and world that's not real. Yeah. Mm, mm,
So this is why I often say that this process can be very painful, because it is the letting go of those things, the attachments to those things, that is upholding the structure of self.
yeah.
And some of them we don't even want to admit to ourselves, we don't even see them.
Mm,
But eventually they will pop up to be
mm,
seen.
yeah. God, thank you, Marius. Thank you, mate. I think that I'd love, I'm probably saying it wrong, but I'm going to say it anyway. But just to find the courage or the peace to just let go. It's so weird, isn't it? I've been doing all this work and on Zoom calls and reading and meditating and to let go, and then when it comes to letting go, I'm like gripping on, like no, I'm not letting go, and shouting and screaming. It's like just let go. But I think I can at least. I think something shifted. That's all. I'm just. I think I'm going to jinx everything the more I say, but it feels like there's a crack. It feels like there's a crack, that I can feel a crack there in whatever I took to be reality and whatever I take to be me. And when I just sit and just feel, that's great, that's fine. It's literally just the thoughts that are so crazy. And I think trying to articulate stuff is really difficult. I found it really difficult.
I think the wisdom is going to come internally, not by expressing your experience of it.
So, Mary. I think it's I think with that it's almost, it's like a trust issue as well. It's just kind of sitting quietly, or not sitting, but just feeling every time there's that discomfort. I'm like, oh no, this is but if I just stop and just feel, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, it's been a incredible, really difficult week. Time. I don't know. I don't know what it's been, but I think, yeah. I kind of want to say, well, yeah, well done, me. Had to really. It feels like I had to really kind of find some courage this week that I didn't know I had, and then realize I didn't really need it. But it felt like I did, so it counts. I'm really, really grateful for this, because I knew, I thought, oh God, I need to speak to the guys and everyone in St. Marius, and just, I've got a habit of that, you know, that kind of got to put it in a frame or a context. That's, yeah, it's just me. But I knew I'd get some. I knew I'd get some wisdom, and I think this is how it feels now. It feels like there's a door, the door's open, that crack, and it's just a matter of staying with it now. And there's going to be times where I'm just scared and I'll close it, but to try and stay with it, to try to, yeah.
Do you get that whatever happens, whatever turns up, is staying with it? You can't do it wrong.
Yeah. I think what I can do though, Vince, is distract. And that's what I've spent a lifetime doing. Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
I think was what was so weird with the coalescence of kind of stripping off the nicotine and stripping off the antidepressants and stripping off this. Looking back now, I think, did I do all this deliberately and then set up a fucking, you know, excuse my French, to set up a, you know, a psychedelic ayahuasca retreat at the same time to just kind of really put myself through it.
That was just taking off another layer, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
and those layers will continue.
Yeah.
You'll
There's nothing
continue to
else.
take them off. You didn't do it. It just happened, didn't it?
Yeah. No, I did it. I'm really brave.
No. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll send you the hero's badge.
Just a little
yeah.
No, it's and I think that was the real fear this week was you idiot, you've caused I really thought I damaged my mental
Well, you
health.
have. You have.
Well, I have, yeah.
You've dealt a fatal blow. That's for sure.
Yeah. Thank fuck I have, yes. But you know what I mean. In that, I was kind of really fearful, and yeah, it's weird. The stronger the fear, the more I felt it, the more it just slowly disappears. Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for being there.
You're welcome. That was very entertaining. Thank you.
Yeah, I wish we had a little film of me dying. That's because if the other participants, it was really funny, the things they told me on Saturday.
Yeah.
Apparently, I stood up at one point. I was so angry that nobody was taking any notice that I was dying. And I just said, could you turn the music off for 10 minutes? Because I'm dying here. And I actually thought afterwards, even in my death, I'm a grumpy old bastard. I'm so proud of myself for that. Leave it there.
Yeah. What will happen is old habits will want to return, but you'll see them. You'll see a lot of them anyway. And it's almost like you'll have a choice to allow them to get back on track, or you'll go, maybe we'll just not do that and see what happens. Maybe a new way can come out of it, especially with the distractions.
Yeah.
I
Thanks
feel
for
uncomfortable when we suggest what will happen, because you don't know that. So don't expect anything, Declan. If that happens, you can bring it to the meetings.
Thank you, Marius. Thank you, man. Thank you. I can kind of feel that. Yeah, I just noticed distractions, that's all, this week. I'm just like, oh, God, I really want to look at my phones. But yeah, thanks, I will. I'll bring it.
Stelios, what is the need to know about? What is the difficulty of not knowing?
I have no idea.
Say again?
I have no idea.
Yes,
What is the difficulty when you ask it? If I try to explain it, is like wanting to know if I'm there or not.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
And
If you're
maybe
if
it's
you're
still,
where
yeah.
you want to know if you're where or not.
If I'm in this state that you can clearly see that there is nobody running the show. I think there are moments that it's just hard to stay with the body because I can see that for many moments nothing is going on, no thoughts, nothing. Everything is abstract and just sensations and stuff like this. But my heartbeat raises and some thoughts I can see just like thoughts, but some other thoughts get my attention. So I think I'm not in this point that there is no attachment to thoughts. So I'm seeking for this place to come, that it will be a big shift and I'm not attached to thoughts anymore.
So there's still an expectation of something.
Yeah, and there is a doubt that I haven't seen it clearly.
But you see that that doubt is created by the expectation, an expectation that is imagined.
Yes, I can see, but I cannot escape of it.
You cannot escape it. Because there is an expectation of it being escapable now rather than now. You see, like, so if we're talking from a dream perspective, where there is a process going on from deconditioning your system, your expectation is that you would rather it happen now rather than later, and not seeing the process for what it is, that it's not going to be this big shift, but it's going to be a decoupling of certain aspects of the structure that is holding everything up.
Yeah.
So there's this expectation and this want that it has to happen now. And it needs to be this big shift that is creating your doubt.
Yep. You know, there is always, when there is no thoughts and it's just silence and it's very, you know, like reality getting more real. There are no words and there is always, almost always, a big sensation here that I wanted to burst, and it's always here boiling, and sometimes I accept it. Sometimes I stay only with the silence and this, and keeps returning to it and wonder when it will change or fade away or explode. I don't know what I'm looking for, really. I'm just in a confusing area.
Do you imagine that it represents something?
Suppression of feelings.
What if that is just an imagined meaning?
Probably. So, yeah. Probably I'm believing to an imagined scenario about the sensation.
By imagining a meaning, you are creating a wall between actually feeling it. You're saying that which is the actual meaning of what you're projecting on it. You're saying that you think it's a suppression of feelings, and that meaning is actually suppressing you from feeling.
Yeah. But there is nothing I can do about it.
Well, no, there's nobody to do anything. But what can happen is, because we had this conversation and you heard what I just said, maybe something will shift and you will actually stop trying to project a meaning on it.
Yeah. You know, even since the last time, many things have changed and I'm in a better place and I can see the process. Many times I can see the process. Maybe I'm just not yet trusting that this is just part of the process. You know, I can be more and more into realizing the process and the mechanism, but there's still, something that tries to understand behind the mechanism. But I think it will take some time. It will take, I don't know. I cannot push it. I cannot, but I can see the difference. If there is clarity and you can see it's only part of the process, it's okay. If there is no clarity, I'm still back to a little bit of seeking.
Well, that you can see that this is happening, it already means that this is unfolding.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of not doing anything, but trusting that it will unfold.
It does anyway, yeah. If you look up back the history, it does anyway. Yeah, I just think that it was a storm. And during the storm, it was back to. But yeah, the storm about a week ago that we talked, it's a lot better. So there is some more things coming to the surface, but with not so attachment as it was a week ago that I was saying the story. I'm back to seeking and there is no progress. But when it's clarity, I can see it's part of the process. And
That's great.
I cannot do anything. So it is what it is, and we'll see.
Well, it feels like I don't. So there's two. Back to the two levels analogy here again. It feels like you can do something, and you're doing it. You're coming here. You're expressing. You're getting mirrored, but you're not doing any of that. There's nobody doing any of that. So that's what I mean by just trusting the process.
Yeah. You know, here today I had nothing to say about it. I wouldn't mind if I didn't speak at all. But I like to just be here and listen to everybody because it helps a lot. From anybody, any conversation, as you said, mirroring something about us.
But I think Vince asked a great question for everyone, which is, what is it about not knowing? I think there's a lot of gold in that.
Yeah. This question stops your mind for a bit anyway.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
For the self-construct
What
to
is it?
be alive, it needs to grasp onto something. It can't be empty. It's uncomfortable to be empty.
Yeah.
The longer it is empty, the more uncomfortable it gets.
Why is that?
It wants
We
to
want.
stay alive. It's just a story, of course, but seems to be the case.
There is a point where emptiness becomes very comfortable.
It becomes more and more. If I look back to the history, I couldn't stay with the body at all. I can see that now, that I couldn't see it differently. I could not even stay with the body. Now you can, and you can more and more. And, you know, as we said the previous time, there is more silence and it's getting more and more comfortable to be in it. It's interesting why some moments you can see the crazy mind talking and you just can see it. And some other times you feel like you are the crazy mind again. And you know, this feels to me like I'm moving backwards. You know, yeah, if I simplify it, I would expect that every moment that I see the crazy mind talking, it will be over. I think this is my case.
Crazy mind still goes crazy here sometimes. I just don't take any notice of it.
I don't even know what that means anymore.
Mm. the way I understand it is that doubt thoughts, which are a version of crazy mind, can never be solved. It's like one of those equations on a blackboard that fills up the whole blackboard and you don't even know what the symbols are. And I'm not even interested in solving it anyway. There's no point. So it can just be there and do what it wants to do, and I don't care. I'm happy not to know some answer to that equation. So I reach the point where I just get bored with them when they're there. There is no solving. There is no answer.
Well, you could say that that is the solving.
Yes, you could, yes. Well put. Yep. Let's just erase the whole blackboard.
There comes a point where thoughts no longer feels like the enemy. And it's just entertainment. And it's fascinating how it can kind of magically create all of appearance.
So for all of you that you have seen clearly, it's 24 hours per day just enjoying and relaxing.
Enjoying and relaxing implies someone enjoying and relaxing. So I can experience a range of different experiences which can be experienced or labeled as intense or less intense, or even no, yeah, I want to say intense or less intense.
And by this you mean just sensations in the body?
Yeah. It's not really correct either. It's not really sensations in the body anymore. It's more like that is a part of the whole experience, so to speak. So if you know, I can tell you that yes, it's sensations in the body, but I don't really think of it like that.
You don't analyze what is happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I know that the mind is gonna make something out of that. So I kind of didn't want to say it because whatever, like if you don't know what I'm talking about, then it's food for the fantasy machine.
Yeah.
I kind of reckon Declan got it. I want to say that didn't make any sense to me, that question. And I think back to the last 24 hours and I think, I can't relate to that question. What do you mean, relax and enjoy? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm still trying to move, probably labeling the experience.
I can say I don't remember being upset. I don't remember being angry. I don't remember being depressed. But I also don't remember being happy. But you know,
I
it's
can
like
get
I can't even remember the last 24 hours. Sorry, you were saying?
no, no, no. I can get it intellectually, but not my experience yet.
Mm.
For me, it
Yeah,
feels more
I
like
can't get it intellectually. That's the point. I can't grab a hold of it with my mind.
That's the
It's
for me,
difference.
almost sorry.
it feels more like a memory of experience to me. So I don't remember I am happy, but I can remember a joyful moment within the last 24 hours, like the quality of it. But I can also remember a intense moment. But I don't, so I'm not saying that, or what I'm saying is that there's no identification with that. It's not like I was joyful, I was intense. It's just the flavor of the moment. But I think like I feel like every time I try to express my experience, it's not really valuable for anyone except for the fantasy machine that really
Yeah.
wants to know.
To know and to compare and to
Yeah,
see if I'm there, how it feels like.
yeah, which is never going to be
So
accurate.
yeah, and it's a trap because we will have the expectation of Marius or Vince or
Yes.
yeah. I'm just asking because it comes and goes, it comes and goes, and I wonder if there is a permanent state that there is no attachment, that you cannot label anything. I can slowly see the mechanism, but not be in it without going back and forth and back and forth. And
See, I
there is
couldn't
still
even say I couldn't say that there's been no attachment. What I can say is I don't remember any attachment being triggered.
that's very important. That's beautiful.
And it's really weird, and it's a little bit frightening when I think back 24 hours. It seems like it took about 35 seconds for that 24 hours to take place. So there's a time distortion as well if I think about it in terms of hours.
Yeah, I also really struggle with memory of what happened. Or struggle. I don't struggle. I don't because I don't care. But
In Deutsch.
if I'm going to try to conjure up some memories, I can't. So much. There's moments.
Yeah, it's a bit like asking the fish where the water is. And he says, "What water?"
To kind of try to answer your question, Stelios, I feel like for here at least, it feels like now there is a choice to go in and play in the dream or not. There's a choice to that's not really correct either, but like there's a you can go in and play, but eventually the game doesn't it's not playable for a while because you don't believe it anymore, and then or I just need seem to need some solitude, and then I can go back into the dream and pretend again. And that's how it seems to be unfolding here, like in and out consciously rather than being hypnotized by thoughts.
But yeah, this seems like a choice.
It seems like that in the dream. Did I just create another trap? See, the reason, or part of the reason why I, again, often say it's painful to go through this process is because a lot of the stuff that used to be believable isn't believable anymore. So you're giving up a lot of what you used to feel like was important. And you can't go back. You can't unsee that. And there was a process here where the mind didn't want to let those things go, didn't want to accept that those things are not real. I didn't want to accept that it can't believe those things anymore. So it went crazy. There was multiple times where I actually thought I was going crazy.
I also have to go, unfortunately. I have to go to work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stelios.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye. I feel like I've been talking too much.
I've been appreciating that. Thank you. Yeah. So Miko's left a message saying she's iPhone 2 on her way home. Will turn the camera on when she gets home, but can relate to having a bad memory. It happened after the self started dissolving. In some cases, it stresses me out as I feel like I need to remember, as in the situation in court. Could someone talk more about why this happens? Huh. Hmm. I have to say, Miko, I don't know why it happens.
I think a more fruitful question would be why it stresses you out.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd have to say it doesn't stress me out. It does seem to be a bit discriminatory about what's important and what's not. So it seems like I can remember important stuff, but I make big use of my calendar as well for appointments and things that I'm going to do. But so I would have to say it seems to be the trivial stuff or the run of the mill stuff that I have trouble remembering because I simply don't feel the need to remember them. Maybe.
I want to suggest that it stresses you out, Miko, because you want to have control of the outcome in court, for example, or any other place you feel the need that you have to perform in some way. You want to control the outcome of that. Could be wrong, but I don't think so. And I can relate to feeling that way before when this was pretty new to me. I heavily relied on not only memory but um, conceptual thinking, processing deeper thoughts or thought constructs, which also seem to have diminished here to some extent. Um, and I think that is heavily tied to the need to perform. I think you need to be some way you imagine you think you need to be in order to get the success that you imagine you want or need. Instead of trusting that whatever needs to happen or be produced by the mind in the moment will happen.
What comes to mind here is too that the mind will also jump up with stories about how important it is. And you might get that from other people as well. Other people might say, well, why can't you remember? It's important that you do remember. And if I don't remember, well, That's just the way it is. It's not, I can't control what other people think about how important it is. And it's interesting that when I rely heavily on my calendar, it's also because the moment I enter something in the calendar, I don't need to remember it. So it's like it's permission to not remember it, because the calendar will remind me when it's time.
But look at what you said, Miko. You're scared that they won't believe you. So already there is a story, constructed story that is not real, that is producing fear. And that is totally understandable because, as you say, you feel that the consequences are too big in your current court situation. But again, there is no possibility to know the outcome of that, and everything that the mind comes up with, either a story of what can happen or a story of what you really don't want to happen. Any story, until it actually happens, is a construct of the mind. It's not real. And I think that by me pointing this out to you, hopefully you're able to quote unquote remind yourself of that. Take some of the intensity out of the actual imagined story.
Yeah, so I just had a little flash on what you said there, Marius, that you will remind yourself of that. And what that triggered here for me is that memory happens or not. Right? So I wonder if it's the idea that you have control over your memory that brings about bad feelings, when in fact nobody has control over their memory. They either remember or they don't. And if other people come up with a story that there's something wrong because you don't remember, that's their problem, not yours. So is the issue that you want to remember to remember?
I kind of want to offer up a perspective or a story that kind of helped see things differently here, which is, you know, your experience of life, an analogy of that can be like into a movie. And right now you're kind of trying to control the outcome of what happens in that movie. But the director of the movie has already decided what's going to happen. And the director knows best, even though you think that this or that outcome is the best thing to happen. The director might have other plans that perhaps you will see as a better happening later when you look back on life that you can't see now. All of that is, of course, just story, but it might kind of take you out of the tunnel vision of the fear, or what the fear is kind of built around. We think we know what's best for us. You know, I can, you know, if I look back on all the painful stuff I can remember from my life, it's the most valuable stuff, it seems. I didn't feel like that then, but I feel like that looking back.
That's where a lot of the learning is.
Yeah, and also just life changing in ways that I really appreciate now.
So when you say it's like the controller is too strong, if we reframe that, well, not reframe that, just be more accurate about what we're saying. If we say the illusion of a controller still has too much belief in it, is that saying the same thing for you? Yeah. We certainly can't undo that with willpower. We can't change what seems to be the case for you, yet you recognize that it seems to be the case, but it still happens. Yeah.
I wouldn't even feel like well, I wouldn't feel like the controller isn't really the problem. It's the wanting it to be different. I mean, wanting the controller to be different that is creating suffering, I think. So you could say, or to say it differently, right now you are having an experience of thinking you are in control and simultaneously sometimes saying that you're not. That is just the experience. That, you know, that cannot change until it changes. And the process, the seeming process, going from not accepting to fully accepting that you're not in control, you don't have any control over. But it is a seeming process. So a part of the process is this suffering that you're going through now. And nobody can fix that because it's part of the process.
It's an irony, isn't it? That accepting that you can't control having control is the way out of having control. Or the illusion of it. Yeah.
I think a good reminder could be you can't do better than you do, whatever that looks like.
Yep. It's a really big one. Let's continue this conversation when you get home and we can have a verbal back and forward. That'll make it a bit easier. Because I really want to hear what Vasvi has to say. Where are you up to on this journey?
Hi everyone. I'm Vasvi. I'm from India. I'm 21. Um, I'm I have identified as like a spiritual person for like a few years, and like a month back, I got this like shock from life. Um, and for some reason, like it just hit me that it's not in the thoughts. Like it did not, for the life of me, hit me before because like I was way too comfortable with whatever I was getting in the thoughts. And so when it hit me, like thoughts just became really unbearable. And so I was like, and then I had been following non-duality before, but like I got the message, don't believe your thoughts. So I was like, okay, that's like a I'm trapped in this room and this looks like a window, like an impossible window. Like, oh my God, every option is shut in my life right now, trapped, all my belief systems crumbling. And suddenly it's like, oh, there's this window. It was crazy. It's like this dimension opening up of like, oh, I don't have to believe my thoughts. So I did that. And the past 1 month, I did that. And just, I can't, like, also doing some inquiry. um, I have this experience of like, if I notice a thought, and if I'm successfully able to see, okay, this is a thought, what would happen before is I would see that this is a belief, and then I would go to the opposite of that belief. Like, I am suffering, and so okay, this is a belief, and then and the thoughts would be so fast in catching up that they'll be like, oh, so she means that she's not suffering. So it's like, it goes to the dual side, it goes to the opposite side, the thought. It's so fast in like continuing the story wherever it needs to continue it. And so I started this thing where I would do both the dualities, where I would be like, okay, I'm stuck here, but then I'm also not stuck there. I'm not stuck, but I'm also not unstuck. Like, you know, there's none of it. Like, it's not, I'm not, um, like I'm experiencing fear today because I was inquiring into the self and the entire, like when I think about my life, there's this face, like my face and the self-referential thoughts. And I was inquiring into that because it's so annoying. Like it's there all the time. Like, oh, this is Vasvi's life. This is what's happening in Vasvi's life. This is Vasvi's face. This is how Vasvi feels. These are Vasvi's call. And it's there at everything. You can, it's like, I'm not living life. I'm just thinking about life. Like that was my first, like a month back when realized I don't want to find it in thoughts. Whatever it is, if it's in thoughts, it's not worth it. Like it was because I was realizing I'm just thinking. Like for some reason I'm not in life. I'm like always like in the reflection of life all the time. Like all the time. Like I'm just who's living then? Because and I couldn't reach there. It was so annoying. It's like I'm cut out from life and I'm just in this narrative. Like, that's it. I only get to be in the narrative. And I got so sick of that I was like, that's it. I do not want to believe any thoughts. Don't want to do that, at least to my abilities. Um, yeah, so I experienced fear because I was seeing that self image. And then I asked myself, like, out of curiosity, because I've never asked myself this. So I was like, what if this entire thought process of self image, of there being a Vasvi, is not true? Like, oh, like this entire movie going on with the subtext of Vasvi's life. What if the Vasvi's life subtext is literally like not true? And I was sitting there and for some reason like it really like, and then there was also subtext of, if like whenever I asked the who am I question, like whatever, like where am I makes more sense to me. uh there's like there's obviously the thoughts are like, here it is, Vasi, this is you. And so I'm like, okay, I know this isn't it. But then if I start to like try to relax enough to let it drop, there would be like a fear barrier of like, nope, you can't handle this, don't go there. And that was really annoying. And then for a few days I kept noticing it. I was like, okay, so there's, of course this isn't it because it's a thought. I have to keep referencing a thought to see this, so this can't be me because clearly this is very unstable and I'm looking for something stable, like this is unstable, the whole thought image, so this can't be me. Okay, but I try to see anything other than that, that's also a thought. Anything in thought, don't want, not the answer. But then other than like the thought, anything in thought I don't want, but then it's surrounded by the fear. But then the fear had a belief of like, I can't handle the fear, you know like if I go down, I can't handle it. And so I was like, okay, I can't do anything with the fear, but clearly this isn't true. This is also a thought. So I'm clearly identifying with, I can't handle this. And so it's like, for the first time, like my mind is freaking out. There's the very familiar fear of not knowing who I am and knowing that this isn't it is here. But it's not like my heart is constantly uncomfortable ever since I did that inquiry today. And there's fear, the symptoms of fear, but there's nothing to like, because I can't, I'm not believing that I can't handle this. So there's nothing that's trying to push it back. So, but it's disorienting. But then there's also nothing that's like, oh, it's disorienting, you have to stop, because I completely removed the I can't handle this, you know?
Mm.
And so it's like, it's just happening.
So
Um,
Vasvi, what does that fear feel like? Whereabouts in your body do you feel that fear?
it's in my heart, and again, it's like it's in my heart. Like the one that's talking doesn't even know what the sensation is, you know? Like there's such a annoying difference between the one that's talking and the one that's living. Okay, anyway, it's in my heart and the lower back area.
Yeah. Can you describe it for me?
Um, it's like everything that was stable in my life. Like I don't know if this is the description you're looking for, but it's like this was me, and then suddenly the boundaries are blurred and the concepts are seen as random stories, you know? And it made so much sense all my life. Like this is me, this is me, this is me. And now it's like don't really know, but it's still there, trying to make sense of itself, like trying to make sense of random information, you
No,
know?
yeah, okay. Now what I'm really asking you is, can you describe the sensations?
Okay. Um, mm, it's like
That stopped the words, didn't it?
yeah.
What's happening now?
I'm noticing like thoughts about um like why are you letting me be like this? Like why aren't you holding me, you know? Um like have some mercy. You know, and not
Do you want
knowing.
mercy?
It goes against my survival instincts, but it is just a thought. Like that's all I know about it, you know? I don't know if there's someone someone that needs saving. All I know is there's been a thought about someone needing saving, and I've been going with it, you know?
Mm.
Do you see that grasping for this stability that you say that you can't find anymore is the mind trying to keep the activity moving so you're not feeling what you're feeling?
Yes. Like it's very scared of um it's kind of like if I feel it, then it's useless. Like the whole thing that has been keeping up. Like something's been kept up, and if I just feel it, it's gonna be very useless. Like what you know. But I can't,
What is
it's like
useless?
the entire narrative, you know, the distraction of the mind. Like there's a like if I fall, then the like it'll be seen that the distraction was distraction.
Yeah, but so if you just said yourself that everything you've experienced thus far has just been thoughts, right? So what is in your experience that is not thought? What if that is where you want to look or feel? If all those thoughts that you've been having is ultimately about avoiding feeling, not understanding the feeling, not giving meaning to the feeling.
Like, it threatens what the thoughts say I am, you know? And so what I'm going into, it feels like what I'm investigating directly threatens the credibility of that structure of the whole um and so it doesn't let it's like a push, like I can feel it here. It's like, do not, you know.
You see how trying to figure it out or inquire also kind of sets up a boundary between the actual feeling and this false narrative that you're trapped in.
I don't even know what the feeling is. How do I know
Okay.
what it is?
Not with thoughts.
Yeah.
You need, it says to you not to go down, but from what I hear, the only thing that is helpful is to go down. Like you are trying to not believe the thoughts, and by trying to not believe the thoughts, you are thinking more than when you not tried. So, and the only things that from what I hear is would be helpful is to feel the chest, to feel the stomach, to feel, and when the energy goes up and you have lots of fats, feel the sensations in your face, in your head. The sensations are, it's like this, it's always a sensation. But when you go from the sensation to the fat, even with the intention to not believe it, the going to it to not believe it is from the beginning you believing it. Otherwise you will not even look at it. It's meaningless. But you go to it and, oh, this I don't believe. You believe it in that moment when you say that. Just the body, the chest, the belly, the legs, the head. In the face you have a lot. Everyone has a lot of sensations. You have many sensations any moment. Just feel them. It's enough. It's really, it's, you don't need anything else from what I hear.
Hmm.
I want to offer you some mercy. I have a story in my head that's arrived since you've been talking, that it's that you have lived your life in your head, in your thoughts, in your stories about Vasvi, and that you don't have much experience with feeling, with recognizing sensations. And what Anton says is true, but the mercy I'm offering you is to say, go slowly, do a little bit, just practice a little at getting in touch with the feelings in your face, in your head, in your body, in your heart. But here's a skill that you can develop. Be very careful when you use a label to describe what that feeling is, that you're not really feeling it. You're still in your head when you've got a label going. So look for, what does the experience feel like that can't be described with words? Just look to get a little bit deeper in the sensations, and you'll develop the skill to learn to feel. Your mind, it seems to me, has been so active for so long that it's got very, very skillful at keeping you away from your feelings because of that fear that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But that fear is, in my story, that fear is designed to keep you away from feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to just go to the edge of it and look at it a little. And as you get more familiar with it, you'll go deeper and you'll look deeper. And then you'll start to realize that that fear has no validity. It's just something that works when you don't get too close to it. But as soon as you get close to it, it dissolves. So my suggestion is, practice every time you think of it, every time the thought arrives, to look at your feeling. You ask yourself, oh, what am I feeling in this body? And then get intimate with the experience of the feeling beyond what labels can describe. That's a starting place for you.
My first thought was that, um, like today when I did that, I literally felt like, what if I burst? Like, what if I burst? Like, physically. And the thought is so convincing that I had to stop, because I thought, what if I actually burst? Because it's so um uncharted, you know?
Yeah,
The
I get that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can tell you that you won't burst, but they're only words.
And
They're
thus,
not much
I can
different.
also just, oh, sorry.
Yes, you go,
I can
Lenny.
also just say, I've just been and still am in that. And it's so rewarding. And you will not burst. You will maybe have like maybe very intense cries, like I had the last 2 weeks. But every time you do those, you feel really much closer. I don't know, I wouldn't call it the self or something, but it's not, because like those thoughts are really far away and distancing what you said. And I feel this feeling thing is kind of the opposite direction. So just accept it. Like I was rolling on the floor crying, but it felt in a way even good. So that is also in there. And like if you're shaking and whatever comes up, it actually has something very freeing to it. And yeah, I know your mind wants, to keep you away from this, but it's actually a real big relief.
Thank you.
I have some mercy to offer as well. If sensations or feelings is too intense to start with, you can also, use all your senses. So you can explore your sight, for example, without labels, without thought.
Mm.
What are you seeing if you don't label anything? Or what are you hearing if you don't put a label on it?
I
What do you
just get
think?
confused. Like, I feel like subtler thoughts, whenever I explore sensations, I feel like, wait, what, are subtler thoughts like creeping in, like, oh, I'm looking at uh, the visual field, like, oh, I'm hearing sounds now, and is there where my focus is, or am I actually, because like I'm not, I mean, I'm very sensitive. I feel a lot, I cry a lot, and the reason that I'm very, I'm a very communicative person. So the reason that I blurted out was because I'm going through it right now and I just want to give, the whole picture. But like, even in the sensations, like for a long time, I was confused. Okay, so I have to bring my sensations. Okay. And then for a long time, what and it felt wrong, but I didn't know, no one told me like how else to view it. But then if I'm feeling my leg, I would imagine I'm feeling my leg. Like there would be a part of the experience which is just imagining my leg. And then I realized like I can't pinpoint um where I'm feeling the leg. Like I'm feeling the leg uh everywhere, you know. It's not a place where I'm feeling it. Like if I'm feeling the sensations in my heart, they're everywhere. The sensation is everywhere. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. But when you say, I'm seeing the visual field, or even if you say, I'm seeing that color, or I'm seeing the wall, you're not seeing anything other than what you're imagining is there.
Mm.
Right? The actual experience that I'm talking about is where you can't describe it. There is no label that works for it. So when you're feeling your legs, it's not your legs you're feeling, it's a feeling that's in your legs, and you're experiencing sensations. But you can't describe them because they're too complicated and they're not specific enough in location to describe. So then we can say you're experiencing something that cannot be described. Then it's not your imagination. It's not what your brain produces that you're experiencing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This is a skill. This is a skill that you will develop.
Mm.
And just to point out something you said also is like, let's take your visual field. It's at least here it was very common for the mind to start labeling. So that's not a problem. Let the subtle thoughts that you're talking about come, but just keep looking, and you'll see that there comes a point where you can let go of the labeling. So let's say the first 10 seconds, there's a lot of subtle thoughts, but then there can be a letting go of all of that, and you're still seeing. There's a kind of a felt sense of just almost kind of being spaced out. There's no subtle. So don't feel like if it takes a while with subtle thoughts that you're failing. It's just let that happen until it doesn't happen.
Okay. Yeah.
Most people don't go that far. Most people are satisfied with what they think they're seeing. Right. So we're looking to extend this in a not normal way, beyond the usual.
Mm.
And you'll get better and better at it as you do it more.
This can be pretty, I don't want to say fun, but it can be kind of an enjoyable hobby if you explore it.
It kind of happens sometimes when like thoughts drop. Like a part of like when a taste drops, like I'm giving and without noticing, I'm giving a taste to an experience. And then when I inquire into it, it's like, oh my God, it was imagined.
Yes, yeah, that's it. When you go, oh, yeah, beautiful. Mm.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we maybe just a little question up on that. So you guys say that is something that has to be kind of practiced, or is that something? Actually, that question also makes no sense. It just builds up new expectations. Probably better shut up.
Yeah, obviously it's easier for some than for others, and so on. Yeah.
I think now that it's pointed out to you that it will happen or not.
That's why I'm not asking any question anymore. You make no sense.
Crazy, isn't it? How often we get halfway through a question and then realize we know the answer, or we don't need an answer. Yeah.
Yeah, so not having an answer is a better place to be in.
Mm. Which is a great segue back into the control question. Not having a need for an answer is very close to not having a need for control. And if we don't have a need for control, if we find that we're not chasing that one, then it seems to me that we are in a position where we accept that this is it. What turns up is just what it is. And it doesn't need protecting or justifying or validating, because it just is what it is. But there's a funny thing with the memory that I experience, and that is that I can be asked to remember something, and I have the distinct impression that I could remember it if I put effort into it, but I couldn't be bothered. And I don't want to be bothered to do it. Sometimes that happens, and that's quite clear in that the impression that I get.
What is that? How does that tie into control?
Well, if we feel that we have to have a good memory, then it's something we have to have control of. Can you control what you remember and what you don't remember?
I think, in order to come to that acceptance, sometimes it could be helpful to investigate um, happenings where you are convinced that you were in control.
Mm.
So you can go back to something that happened today and you feel like that was my choice. I was in control of that happening. And then look at that. What actually happened? Look at the thoughts that led up to that action, because that's where the belief is. Believe that the
Yeah.
thoughts up to that action had somehow created that happening. But then who chose those thoughts?
Well, I often, I wrote a piece on control recently, and intention came up. And so if we're going to have control, before control there's intention. And where does intention come from? Where does the thought that I intend to do something even come from before I say I have the ability to do or not do that? I can make a choice, I can make a decision, and then I can do it. And then I'll label all of that whole process as control. But I don't know where that thought came from. Can we see what stimulated that thought? Was it conditions in our life that triggered it? Or was it some past experience that triggered it? It seems pretty random almost, but not quite random, but yeah. So in order to have control, I would have to say, I summoned that particular thought that I call an intention. And then I chose. And then I decided. And then I did it.
How many times have you intended something and you haven't done it?
Many times. Yeah.
And in that thought stream up until the actual action happened, why was the last thought before action happened? Who decided that? And who decided the confidence, the feeling of confidence of making that choice in that moment?
So it's pretty clear when we go through that little analysis of that sequence of events that we don't actually have control. But what if I feel like I've got control in spite of that? Is that the way it is for you, Miko?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Just
Pay attention.
eating dry.
So that sequence of events about where did the original thought come from that led you onto that idea of having control, where you had the thought, you had the intention to do it, you made the choice to do it, you made a decision to do it, and then you did it, or it happened at the end of all of that. And you can see quite clearly that you weren't in control. It was just a sequence of events that happened, yet you feel like you have control. Is that the way it is for you?
Yeah, it is.
So would you say that the feeling, the feeling is the sensation part of the feeling? Does that say anything about control?
No, I think it's sort of like the mind
Yeah.
believes it has control according to how strong the different sensations are. Like if I feel calm, then in some way it's like there is a belief that okay, now I'm in control. But it feels chaotic or like I don't know, different sensations, then it can manifest itself like in believing that I don't have control anymore and a need to feel calm again. Mm.
Could we reframe that? This is just a suggestion, but could it be possible that when you're calm, you're not grasping for control, but when you're not calm, you are grasping for control?
Yeah,
is
I
there.
think I could sort of relate a little bit to what you were talking to Vasvi about, because I feel or not I, but here it's like I feel scared of all of the different sensations that are strong. And it's like after the dissolving of the self, the sensation started to become even stronger. So it's like a shock here, and it feels overwhelming and too much to handle in a way. Yeah.
So are you saying that it feels like it could get out of control? That was I wasn't intending
Yeah.
that pun, but yeah, yeah,
Out of control, and even I think even maybe there would be a belief of dying again, like
yeah.
yeah, the body would just not be capable of handling it,
Mm-hmm.
just too much. Yeah.
Lenny pointed out something important earlier, which was the only way to handle that, so to speak, is to go through it, to actually turn around and face it. That's the only way that the system can be convinced that it can handle it, because the mind will not have that scenario.
It's the only way it can dissipate the mistrust.
Mm. Yeah, I can see that when I feel a lot of sensations, then I distract myself with, going out in the nature, or like even just scrolling on Instagram or checking the email for like the fifth time in, I don't know, the 5 last minutes or like, yeah.
Do you have any previous experiences of having to do something that terrified you? Like, I remember, just to give you an example, I remember my first time I had to hold a presentation for like 100 people. That terrified me. I did not want to do it, but I was somehow forced to through the situation I was in.
Yeah.
And looking back at that, it was a kind of a confirmation for the system that, oh, I didn't die.
Mm. How was having a baby, Miko? Did it feel like you were going to die?
Yeah, wow. But that's actually even different, because I feel like it's more of the physical sensations, even though of course there's been a lot of emotional yeah things as well. But to answer Marius's question, I would say, yeah, on Thursday I went to court and I really, really, really did not want to go there. And while I was there, I felt like I just wanted to close my eyes and just disappear. I felt really small and choked and scared and just like, yeah, there was this really big sense of the self that just, yeah, had all of these different beliefs. I am a liar, they won't believe me. I'm not good enough, for like, yeah, all of these things showed up. And I
But you
felt
did
like,
it.
yeah, I'm still here. I'm alive. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Got your point. Mm.
I think it's why I point that out is just we tend to look past those moments sometimes, not value what we actually experienced. Like like you think back to the whole period up until that point where you were actually in it, how much you dreaded to go there and do that. And now that you're past it, yes, it was an intense experience, but appreciate that you experienced it and you're here and you're alive.
Yeah, that's so true. Mm, definitely. Mm.
And it's a big one because when you have that appreciation for that, it allows learning to take place.
Yeah.
Mm.
Another way to say what he just said is you're basically just reconditioned your system to be
Yes.
less scared next time. This is the value of facing the fear. It's the only way to actually get past it is you just need to sit in the burn, so to speak.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. I was thinking, I think it was the day after that I will probably not be that scared next time, because this time I was like, I couldn't find my words, and even the judge told me straight out that she got impatient with me. And like, I don't know. I just, but yeah, as you say, I think next time I will be more resilient. It's like my nervous system knows that I will handle it. So yeah, definitely a good point and a good way to see it. Yeah.
The most terrifying thing, one way or another, is the unknown that we don't know. And the mind, that's basically, if you can stay in the unknown, then the self has basically dissolved. Comfortable with not knowing. That is what we hear about surrender in the spiritual space, often talked about as something you actively have to cultivate or do, but that's not true at all. It's when you actually accept that you don't know and you're comfortable with that. That is surrender.
Mm. Yeah, I think there's some kind of surrender happening in a way that I don't have to, because I used to read a lot of books before I I needed to know like different things, which I don't. I feel it's really hard to read a book now. But it's like when the fear is quite strong, then it would be, yeah, the controller shows up and it's like I need to at least try to control to get where I want or get, yeah, what I need, like, or think I need at least.
Hmm.
Mm.
It takes a certain amount of experience in living with not knowing to start to believe that it's trustworthy and that you're not gonna fall apart. You're not gonna be harmed. So it's really not the development of trust is a tricky one, but it's like it's the going away of the mistrust that if I don't know, something bad will happen. And when something bad doesn't happen, for a while, it's easy to live in that place of it's not just fine or okay here that I don't know. It's actually actively freeing to not know, not need to know. It's fantastic. It's a great place.
And I think at least here, a big part of developing that trust, so to speak, is seeing that you can't know anything. There's nothing, there's not one thing other than perhaps, I don't want to even say that because I don't really agree with that, but let's say I am. Other than everything else is just construct. I am as well, but let's just stay with, let's say with beholder and beheld. Beheld, everything that is beheld is belief. It's not something you can know.
Also, maybe a part of developing the trust would also be like seeing through the good or bad things, like seeing that there's just labels. Because, for instance, there was something that happened now in court that it sort of felt like I lost my freedom. And it was something I had feared because I saw that in advance for something that was really bad. But when it happened, it wasn't really bad. It was just like it happened in a way.
Hmm.
You got what I meant.
Yeah, but
Like,
it's like needing it to be like the freedom is not that you cannot choose how you want it to be. The freedom is in not needing it to be any certain way.
yeah, exactly.
So what you're saying about good and bad.
Yeah. Hmm.
Do you know that old parable of the old Chinese farmer whose horse ran away? Have you heard that one?
No.
Oh, it's an old one. Yeah, okay, good one. All right. So this farmer had his horse ran away one day, and his neighbour came in and said, "Oh, that's terrible that your horse ran away." And he said, "Oh, yeah, maybe." And then the next day, the horse came back with several other horses, and the neighbour came in and said, "Oh, that was really good luck, wasn't it?" And he said, "Yeah, maybe." And then his son went out and decided to break one of the horses that came back with his horse, and he jumped on this horse and got thrown off and broke his leg, and the neighbour come in and said, "Oh, that was really bad luck." And he said, "Yeah, maybe." And the next day the soldiers come along and said, we're recruiting people, we want your son. And he said, "But my son just broke his leg." "Oh, well, we can't take him." So the neighbour come and said, "That was really good luck, wasn't it?" And he said, "Yeah, maybe." And on and on and on we can go. Okay, so it's like, yeah, good luck or bad luck, good or bad, it's all fabrication. Yeah. The story does go further, but I don't remember it.
That was a good one.
So, can I say something?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, for me, like while you were talking about good and bad and the controller thing, it's like I'm watching a movie. It's not even, it's like, I think it literally is what it is. I'm watching a movie. I'm identified as the main character. And I'm going, no, I don't want that to happen because the main character is going to get hurt. I don't want the main character to get hurt. It's crazy that I can see that and it's still there. Like, what the hell? What is this middle place, you know? Like, before I was fine because I was completely identified, you know. It would be fine to like see through it, but I'm in the middle where it's like, okay, where do I go? Because I can see this isn't it, but I don't know what is.
Hmm.
But I can kind of glimpse because I keep falling into like this, not like this very place, you know, like, oh, yep, this is it. And then it just, yeah.
Yep. So you think that because of your relationship to thoughts, you think that what it's about is whether the main character gets hurt or not. But it's
Yeah.
not. What it's about is what you want to happen. It's not about
Mm.
whether the main character gets hurt. It's about you not wanting or you wanting something.
What does it even mean? Like, what? I don't know what that means. If I'm being honest, like, what does wanting mean? Like,
Yes.
who's.
Okay, so it's not again, it's not what wanting means, it's what wanting feels like.
Mm.
As soon as you say what it means, you better go and get a dictionary or a thesaurus and start looking that up. Right? But the reality is, what does it feel like, this wanting? Where do you feel the wanting in the body? That's the question that will always get you out of your head, away from the dictionary, into real life.
Mm-hmm.
Are we making sense for you, Dennis?
The last sentence made sense, Vince. Yeah, definitely. Back to feeling, sensation. I don't think I have anything worthwhile to say, Vince, in case you're waiting for me to say something.
I had no expectations that you would or wouldn't. Yeah.
How is life lately, Dennis?
Um, Good question, Marius. Yeah, I don't know. Find myself doing a bit of stretching, a little bit of Tai Chi. We have real hot weather here at the minute, so it's like nearly 30 degrees. So I find myself doing a lot of activity in the backyard and enjoying the heat. Going more active in the heat, which is strange. The more exercise and movement I do, the better I feel. Yeah, life's just ticking along, accepting more things. Probably less reactive.
What's your feeling about work at the moment?
Yeah, work is it's okay. It's busy sometimes. It can be a little bit stressful with projects, but things come good and you're busy and then you have some downtime. There's been a couple of big projects that have been ongoing and they'll finish out in September. So there is an element of subtly looking forward to when that's over and there's more time to not be so focused on work, but still recognize that that's just a thought in the future and that surrendering to the moment, whether it's a meeting or a conversation, to kind of have less of that angst or desire for an outcome and just see how it all goes. It's like me a bit giddy sometimes at meetings, which looks a bit silly, but I don't really care. It works okay. There's a good balance there.
Sounds
Well, it
good.
sounds like you're in a pretty good place. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good or bad. Just
Even better.
I think the last time, I don't know if I mentioned sort of a sense of free fall or not able to orientate to anything and know sort of where am I on the path or 10 steps. I was at point 2 and now I'm at point 3 and now I don't know where I am. And all that was kind of a thing. And I listened to David Bonney say something in a talk or something and it just clicked like, it was like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah. And that's fine. That free fall or that complete lack of orientation is normal, let's say, or okay. And so I think it's just settling in more that sort of the grasping for orientation is just slowing down, I might say.
Good one. Mm.
And I do, Marius, find myself talking about boundaries more and more. And whether it's discussing them as a way of having them or seeing them in different relationships. Even with my brother, I mentioned trying to get him help for treatment and the desire to want it for him. And I've kind of let that go and just let him do what he's going to do, but be there to support him. So there's a subtle paradox that it's not helping or not helping. It's a sort of being there week by week and responding appropriately without the extra desire or will or want for an outcome or for him to be okay. That kind of has to die away so you can just show up in the moment. So yeah, I was having those sort of feelings, and then I was imagining chatting to the kids and thinking about how I behave as a dad. And there's this story like that, you're not a great dad, so you give them extra money or you buy them things because you're not a great dad. And I was coming clean to them. Look, I'm not a great dad, so I want to admit it now, so I don't have to give you any more extra money. We'll just live with I'm not a great dad.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And that's very freeing. So that was the little story going around in relation to these feelings. It's all very freeing, and confessions to yourself.
I want to ask, you're not a good dad based on what measurement? What are you
Yeah, it's
comparing to?
probably just other people's stories in the media, things you see on telly, in the outside world, and they're, probably like everyone who looks at social media and sees everyone having a great time, and they're like, oh, I'm comparing to that. But I know it's not real, but it's more that it evokes an emotion that's sitting underneath that you can kind of acknowledge. Maybe it's more of I'm just not, there's no such thing as a perfect dad, and trying to be is energy sapping. And we compensate as parents, and it's to see that compensation is unnecessary. And then like the little story in my head was like when I tell the kids I'm not a good dad and stop giving them extra money, that they'd be like, no, yeah, you are a great dad. And then they tell me I am, as opposed to me wondering whether I am or not. But that's just a story. It was more the emotions and feelings underneath it that I was dealing with, of acceptance. I think the biggest thing is that if you're less and less in your head, less and less distracted with everything that's not real, and you're more present, then by default you're a better parent. And there's a sort of a guilt around that. And even this journey has been a very selfish journey in one sense. But I can't really know that, to be truthful. You'd have to interview the children and ask them what.
I think in one way it has to be a selfish journey, but the outcome of that selfishness is often more presence, more intimacy. So you can't really say what's good and bad about that.
If you investigate that, you'll see that the way it was before is much more selfish than the way it is now.
Yeah, I think at the start you don't know you're not present. You're just doing your thing, and then you realize you're maybe not as present, and that's kind of shocking. But there is moments, and lots of them, of, let's say, intimacy or presence and good conversations and sharing and all those things you want to have with all your relationships. Um,
Now you can actually relate to them rather than the image, perhaps.
yeah,
Yeah, because when you were in the role of a parent, you were putting your kids in the role of kids. And so you got two roles relating to each other. Now you people to people, that's a bit different, isn't it?
yeah, that's where the real juice is, the connectivity, the kind of, I suppose in one way it's partly what people are searching for.
It's a beautiful high, that connectivity. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just really enjoying the heat, enjoying the exercises, the body movements, the sort of kind of, there's a lot of tension in the body, so just dealing with loosening that out and um, bringing the body, making it more healthier and more relaxed is what I've been doing
Mm.
lately. Really, it's kind of physical, and I've been enjoying it. And the more I do it, the more energized I am. Even in the heat, it's like a paradoxical. Feel cool or feel really good doing it, so I'm going to keep doing it.
Mm. And as soon as you mentioned Tai Chi, I went into a kind of a meditative state just imagining it. Yeah. I love that slow movement. Mm. Like that's a Tai Chi rocking chair, Phoebe.
Well, Dennis, I really relate to what you're talking about, regret with children. And I've had two realizations recently. One is that I'm still hiding from my children. I mask from the whole world. And even when things are like going really well, I'm still masking. And that is really shocking to me. I mean, that's really shocking. And the other thing is that I did what I was able to do with my kids. I couldn't do anything else because all I knew was what I knew. And they both turned out really well. And they're both, I mean, they have their conditioning that, you know, they were raised with, but both of them are in a much better space than I was when I was their age. And that feels great. And that letting go of control, because they're grown adults now. They're 37 and 35. whatever influence I had on them, it's out of my hands now. And they're actually okay. And our relationship gets better the more I reveal to them, the more I take my mask off and just share with them. And I'm trying to do that with the whole world. I'm trying to recognize my masking, and it's not a judgment. It's really just a seeing it, and seeing it helps it fall away for me until I realize I'm masking again, you know, and then we're back at it. But
So how do you know you are, Phoebe? What do you see when you recognize that you're masking?
it happened at the 4th of July party. We had my daughter, and she's now engaged. Max proposed to her on this trip. So my daughter and Max and his parents came from London. And then my son and my daughter-in-law and their kids, and her sister and her family. So it was a really nice, intimate group. I feel super safe with and my ex and his wife. I pretty much feel super safe with everyone. But by the end of the weekend, this litany was just running through my head. I'm not safe. It's not safe. I'm not safe. It's not safe. And what I realize is, I wasn't present. I thought I was present, but I was masking. I was performing. I was engaging in these patterns of behavior that they're used to, or whatever. But it wasn't a calm. I wasn't in a calm place. I was in a more of a performative space. And but I mean, also it's interesting because Declan had talked a couple of weeks ago about being in the elevator and checking himself out in the mirror. And Mary said, why don't you try just not doing that, like not making yourself presentable. And so maybe that was part of what the stress was that weekend, because I didn't wear makeup. And I always wear makeup. Didn't wear makeup. I didn't tan my legs. I didn't even moisturize my legs. So my legs were like white and flaky. And I'm like, yep, that's it. That's what my legs are. That's what I look like in a bathing suit. And the freedom of that. And so when the grandkids said, "Bibi, come in the water," I took my scrunchie out of my hair and dove in the pool, because there's no makeup to bleed. It didn't matter. What my hair looked like didn't matter. So in a way, it was, for me, really stepping out on that plank. It's like, okay, here's what it feels like when you don't have all your structures protecting you. This is what it feels like. And maybe that was part of it, was shit. Shit. I don't know if I like this, but I just went with it. And I thought, just try it. Just try it. And then at one point, my son and daughter asked me how I had named this favorite cat I had once. called Spike. And they both had ideas of where that name had come from. And I said, you know, I think I heard it on I read it in a book. I think I read it in a book or heard it on a podcast. And I just thought, and it was used for a female. And I thought, oh God, I love that name. And that's what I ended up naming this male cat, was Spike. But I think really it's because I'm spiky. And I said to this group of people, some of who knew me not so well, like Fiona and Ivan don't know me as well as my nuclear family does. But I said to all of them, I said, all of you have experienced me being spiky. Everyone has experienced me being spiky, because that is my number one defense. It's how I keep people away. And I said it like it wasn't a big deal, but maybe all of this trying new stuff is more of a big deal than I'm owning. Maybe it's scarier for me than I'm owning. You know, I'm making these decisions. I'm just going to do it. But maybe it's scary for part of it.
Well, but hang on. You started to tell me how you were masking, and then you went on to describe all this stuff that sounds pretty authentic and unmasky to me.
Yeah, so Vince, so I'm just totally confused because yeah, maybe that's what put me in the tailspin, because I was in a tailspin. By the time I left Sunday morning, I was in a total 100% trauma response. It was total trauma response. I got in the car and I was driving, and John looked down just as I turned the wheel a little too sharply and self-corrected. You know, then I corrected it right away, and he barked at me. And I was like, I'm not safe, I'm not safe, I'm not safe. And I was like that for 12 hours. I wouldn't look at him, I wouldn't talk to him. The drive home was a 4-hour drive. Didn't matter. I was like, just in this, oh my God, trauma response.
Pretty spiky.
Really, pardon me?
Spiky? Was your trauma response spiky?
No, it was I was like a pillar of salt. I was totally frozen. I could not, I couldn't look at John. I couldn't, it was amazing that I was driving, because
yeah, you shouldn't have been by the sound of it.
But I was just in this lockdown survival mode. Just, it was awful.
And do you think that was a response to you being authentic and unmasky? The way you described you were?
You know, Vince, that may be it. That may be it. I thought it was in response to masking, but yeah, well, I was very different. I didn't offer to do extra stuff. I didn't offer to help clean up. I didn't do my normal, you know, let me take care of the whole party. I did bake 5 delicious desserts that were a huge hit. And that's what I did. I brought the dessert. But I didn't do more than that. And that's very unusual for me. Yeah. So it may be that maybe it's that I was out of my comfort zone for a couple of days, and I don't know.
It sounds to me, and just correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like what you were calling your normal, where you would have been helpful here and helpful there and doing this and doing that, that sounds pretty masky. And here you were saying, I'm not going to wear makeup. I'm not going to do what I don't feel like doing. That sounds unmasky to me.
Yeah.
And then something happened, or maybe it evolved more slowly than something happening into this trauma response that you're describing. Do you see what triggered that response?
The thought that comes to my mind is my ex's wife was sitting on the side of the pool watching my ex play with the grandchildren. And I went over and sat down next to her because I really like Liz. So we were talking about, she just retired. So we were talking about what her life is going to be like now and blah, blah, blah. And we got into this really, I thought, really neat conversation. But then she directed her attention to the grandchildren and was being playful and engaging with them. And I felt like, there you are, needy again. Needy Phoebe. Like, pay attention to me. Pay attention.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
And that's stepped in. And Dennis, I noticed that when I'm in the family group, I don't engage with my grandsons at all. I mean, I acknowledge them, but I don't play with them. I don't engage with them. So that's what happened. It was sort of like what Declan was saying at the beginning of this meeting. All these people, I think, I feel certain way about. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't love my grandsons, you know? Maybe it really all is about me. It's all about me. And then Dennis, that does get very, very self-critical. It's like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, so that's the whole, that gives you, that's the picture of this weekend. I mean, there were things that I did that I was super proud of, just trying them, just trying. What's it like to not wear makeup? What's it like to not care what my hair looks like? And not take over care of people. It's not that I didn't engage with people. I did engage with people. But I was not a good grandmother. And so there's that self-criticism.
It does seem to me like the juice for you happened in that moment when I forgot her name, your ex's wife, shifted her attention from talking with you to the grandkids, and you got triggered, and then that self-criticism really jumped in heavily, you know. What did you even have a term for it? What was it? Needy Phoebe?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you like, wow, you practiced that term, haven't you? That's not the first time you've used that one.
Yeah. That's one of my biggest shame issues is neediness.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is that's where the juice is for you at this moment. right? It's not about what followed, and it's not about what was before. I mean, it was great, the experiments with being more authentic and being more natural and relaxed about that. That'll take some practice to get really relaxed there, but great. I love it. I love all of that stuff. But boy, there's some juice there in that one, isn't there? And that's one you've been carrying around for how many years?
Probably 69.
Yeah, close to it, if not that long. Hey, yeah,
10 years before you were born, Phoebe. That's amazing.
yeah. Dennis, that's why you love Dennis, isn't it? He's a
Dennis, that is
Irish, Irish bullshit. I love it. Yeah.
So on another note, I want to share with everyone that 3 or 4 weeks ago, I decided in a single day that I wanted to move in with my partner. And I moved in with them 2 weeks later. And I signed a lease on an art studio on July 1st for a year. And it's in a building with 20 other artists and 9 minutes from John's house. And it's just all unfolding. It's just unfolding. And it's really bizarre how it's working.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Really.
Again, you know, the courage to put yourself in unfamiliar territory there. Beautiful. Love it.
Yeah, yeah. And I have absolutely no idea if I'm going to create anything in that studio. But I'm like, well, you need a studio before you can create. So now I have a studio.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
good.
So
Phoebe, do you notice how you just jump from the juice to something more
oh
comfortable?
yeah. Oh, Marius, I sure do notice. I'm much more comfortable with this over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
wondering, is it really neediness, or is it well, you could say it's a need, but is it a need for validation or need to be seen?
Well, that's a really good question. And what was happening was we were actually connecting, really connecting, because she's going into retirement. She's not sure what that looks like. She thinks she might like to write poetry. She's been writing poetry over the years. So then we were talking about, and she's into Buddhism. So there's a lot of similarity between this just being and having things unfold. And it was a really, I thought, substantial connecting conversation. And then she diverted it and started focusing on the children. And I thought, dang, I haven't focused on the kids all weekend. But what I experienced with her was connecting, which felt great.
Yeah, there's so many ways to go from there.
Yeah, until it didn't feel great, until it was like, oh, Phoebe, it's all about you. It's Phoebe, Phoebe, Phoebe.
That is just a story, right?
Right. I see that, you know, I can see that that's just a story. And
But you buy
so,
into that story.
well, I sure did on Sunday.
Yeah, I noticed something else you shared earlier, something about this your cat Spike,
Yeah.
and how you um, seem to feel the need to correct the reason where this came from, and kind of put that story that I think you're identifying with, that you are spiky. That's an identification or an identity you have created and believed.
Maris, that may be true, but it's also a reality. I promise you, everyone close to me has experienced me being spiky. I mean, that is not an imagination, and it may be a story I put on, but it's also a reality. I can be really spiky, and that's just worked really well. But I hear what you're saying, that it's a story, and that I can look at that.
Even putting the story, even saying that story out loud to people in that situation, pointing that out, that you are spiky, is spiky. It's kind of
That's it.
The defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of warning them off, like, be careful. But they've all, I mean, my ex and my children and my daughter-in-law have experienced this firsthand. You know.
Yeah, but now you keep saying that, but you that is just reinforcing your own story. I want you to let go of that story.
Okay, all right.
Or
You
what's I just wanted to say what's causing it. It feels like there's a thorn in your paw that makes you spiky, but what's the thorn?
So Dennis, this is what I discovered a month ago with my daughter, that I defend so much against my children. And I said that to my daughter, and she said, Mom, are you sure it's not so much that you defend against Danny and me, but that you defend against the whole world? And then I just felt like crying, because it was like, yeah, I am just so scared. I'm so scared of getting hurt. And then, Maris, I can look at that as a story. I could say two things happening simultaneously. I can say, oh, sweetheart, I get it. I get it. Yeah, but you're safe now. You're safe now. And no one can hurt you. So that inner child that was brutalized, I can comfort her. And I can also step outside and say, oh, that's just a story. That's the story that you have lived your whole life to try to stay safe. Oh, okay, that's a story too. Come back in the present. You know, what are you feeling? Where are you? You know,
if I may,
yeah.
Sometimes we are too fast to call a story a story. Like, I think that being with that vulnerable child and giving it the feel that it is loved, that it is safe, that it is enough, that as it is so in my view the like there is lots of value in it. in a way. And
Yeah.
and sometimes we are too fast to say that it is a story, and I just come back here now, and that's fine. But the reactivity and the spikiness is still rising and rising. And from my experience, it needs lots of love. Like, it's hours of being with it and feeling it. The like, this child have lots of ache, and it's like becoming one with it and feeling it, like being it. It's not a story, it's here.
Yeah.
It's all the time, it's here inside you, and all your life is around it. So calling it a story, it's not so useful in that
Right,
situation.
because I get away from the feeling. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not to get away from it, but it's actually feeling it and being okay with it, arising as much as it wants, and being as it is, as it wants, as much as it wants, and all the time, to stay around it, like to give it space in a way, without an idea that if I will give it space enough, it will you know, go away. It's you, and it feels you. And if you have this idea that, okay, I will love it now, and then it will go, it feels it, so it does not believe you. It says fuck you, you know. I don't believe you. Yeah. You say I love you, you don't really. Yeah. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. That, that's so beautiful, Anton. Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful.
I was going to agree with you, Anton. I just want to share a different perspective. It wasn't really where I thought you were going with that, but I do agree that we do have a tendency to kind of bypass what's going on by saying it's just a story. That is, I see that happen all the time. When I say it's just a story, what's behind that is really understanding what that means. That it's just a story, not just taking a belief or kind of the whatchamacallit, surface, this is just a story, and just push it away. But what does it actually mean that it's just a story? It means that you have constructed this. This is not reality. This is something you have imagined to be real, and to really understand where that imagined story came from more deeply, then you can recognize that it's just a story. It doesn't feel real anymore. You can't believe it anymore. And I just to finish my point, Anton, you can go. I see things a bit differently from Anton, because I think that by speaking to this, or not even speaking, but having a relationship to this non-existent part in us that we are creating in our imagination, that is, we're kind of making a part that isn't real that we're trying to relate to, for me, that kind of keeps the illusion of a self alive rather than actually deconstructing the illusion.
Right, but I didn't hear it as me. It's not so much, the goal isn't to keep that image of a little child alive. The goal is to feel the feeling. If I can feel the feeling, I'll work through it. And that's what I heard Anton say, is that you stay with the feeling and let it be there, because then it will resolve however long it takes.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. If that's what you heard, then I totally agree with that. I just, sometimes when we hear things like giving it love, for example, it sounds like there's somebody here giving something else love.
Yes,
rather than just feeling.
and sometimes it also useful in a way. And so
I'm not
I
saying
think
you're wrong, Anton. I'm just saying I see a difference.
The story thing is important on the level of here. It's fat, to understand that it's all just a fat. But this level, it do not even understand what we think about. It's only feels. So to say that it is a story, if it's here, it can help here. But to see that it is a story on the level of the feelings, it's usually happening here, and it's not connected to all this to stuff that we think. It's even not, it can sometimes be connected in a deep inquiry, like you can go from here, but usually it's from here, but it's not really so important. It's all a story, and it's all just
and
this.
for me, that feeling of wanting to cry, that I've just been running from my whole life. I mean, I'll do just about anything not to feel that. So that's just what I need to do, is just sit with that. But it's not, I'm not trying to keep a personality there. I'm just trying to let myself feel the feeling. Just let it be.
It's a version of not wearing makeup.
Right. And I've done that successfully, so.
I would also like to say that I have the same experience as Marius, actually, because I've been working with the inner child for, I don't know, 2.5 years or something. And I'm not saying that something is right or wrong or anything, but I just realized for me that it's sort of like, kept the self alive and felt even stronger. Like giving myself a hug or giving myself that love, or I don't know. So it sort of like made me confused as well, because the therapist that I've been using, she has also seen through the self, but she's also using the inner child work. So sometimes it's like when we talk, I just feel very, I don't know. Yeah, confused.
Well, try radical non-duality. It is the most, this is the, like, it's really clear and it's really true. But when you have something to address, use tools, and so it's not really so important.
It's not really radical non-duality, though. It's actually disfiguring the belief that in any of that. There's no question of believing anymore, so you're just left with the sensation. You're just left with feeling what's there.
Yes, and
that's what
sometimes
also.
the feeling can be really stuck, and we cannot feel what behind it. Like sometimes there are feelings when it's opened and there is a flow, and sometimes we feel that there is something there and we do not know what it is. And in this case, we can sit with it for years, and maybe it will clear itself, and maybe an attempt to see it will happen seemingly, and something can open. And in my experience, it sometimes seems that it can open like this in a more direct way, but I think it's really individual. All the things that is connected to the psyche and the physicality of things are really individual, and the understanding that it is all, it is not really connected. It's always just it. But if something not feels like this is it, then sometimes it can be useful to look, and sometimes maybe use something that you intuitively feel that is appropriate for now, with the knowing that it is also it, even if it's in a moment can feel as if something is separate. And I find that in many situations, certain things can be useful for someone and they are not useful for another one. And sometimes in the beginning of this way, something is seemingly useful and something other is not, and then it can be the opposite. And for different people it is like this, like for one the one thing is useful in a moment, and for another something else, and then it can change, and it's all not really meaning something. It's just as it is.
Would you say the radical non-duality is sort of like the emptiness, or how would you describe it?
Or the radical approach is about not about anything. It's like an empty something that all the speaking is around it. Nothing is really, no sentence can approach it because it is everything. But on the level of speaking, there can be a way that seems more direct, but it's also just a story. It's like there is nothing that we can say really. So everything in a way is the same. Like it's like the laughter of children or someone singing is a speaker in a way. Everything is saying that, everything is singing this. My stuttering right now is this. It's like I can relax and I can breathe and I can speak fluently, but it doesn't mean anything. And I can stutter and the energy can be tense and I can feel all sort of things, but it's all this. And when you have really intense feelings and intense stuff that you had in childhood and many, you can see it like really it's all same. And but there is pain, there is everything is here, so there is no conditions. So to say that I have to not having this sensation in my chest in order to be free is limiting yourself. You are already free. But if you will say and believe that this sensation have to go, or I have to stop stuttering, yeah, just an example, in order to be free. No, it's in order to appear maybe enlightened and free, and yeah, but it's not. It does not have any validity really, because it's all already free. So, but we so habituated to think that it is not it already, that we cannot really feel it like this. So we try and we seek, but it can be felt on a really deep level without any changes in anything. Like you don't have to change anything at all, and you can really feel it in a way that it's obvious.
You mean
Oh,
be
sorry.
still and know?
It no, it's yeah, because it's not anything. It's just this. It's like,
Yeah, that's what I said.
yes, but you don't have to be still. You see, because in one moment you are still, and in another moment you are not. So it's how it can be. It's always like this. So it have no conditions. You doesn't have to be silent. You don't have to sit in, you don't have to do anything at all. You already done.
Yeah, I suppose a better way of saying it would be notice the stillness that always is and know.
I think that saying is it's an old one, and I think it's somebody famous said it. I don't know who now, and I think it was an injunction to bring about a realization. So so be still was a case of be silent, be I don't know, something magical, and you will see that everything is this. Yeah.
But I get what they're saying. It's the great mystic JC said it, but that's I suppose we can all use words to point at the same thing. So it's beyond words. I think you mentioned your stuttering. Your stuttering is music to me. So just to say that to you. Well, Phoebe, it just sounded like you are going through, or there's a lot of boundary changes, and they all sound really positive. And every now and then a thought or a belief is slipping through that you're seeing a little bit later on or the next day, and there's just opportunities to get, like we've been talking about, feel underneath them to see what's there. Seems all very positive.
Yep, I go along with that. Seems like lots of discoveries happening.
Yeah, yeah. And it feels it just feels like some days it feels like flow. Just like this morning I got up and the next thing I know I'm dismantling the kitchen and doing a deep clean in the kitchen and the floor and the moving furniture and I'm doing this and it's just like this just what I feel like doing.
Right,
And it wasn't on a to-do list. It's just how the morning unfolded. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, listen, my battery just reached a 10% and it's now 25 past 12 midnight here, so I'm going to go to bed.
Good night. Good night.
See you all
Night,
later.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.